Millie Devine is a woman who knows how to clean up messes, both the literal ones on the floor and the complicated ones left by dead bodies. After the chaotic events of her previous job, she is struggling to keep her head above water. With a criminal record and a background that scares away most employers, finding a decent job in New York feels like an impossible task. So, when the wealthy and seemingly charming Douglas Garrick offers her a position as a live-in maid in his luxury penthouse, Millie thinks her luck has finally turned. The pay is incredible, the apartment is stunning, and Douglas seems like the perfect gentleman. But as Millie soon learns, perfection in an apartment like this always hides a dark, decaying secret. The job comes with one strange, non-negotiable rule. Millie is never to disturb Douglas's wife, Wendy. According to Douglas, Wendy is suffering from a mysterious, debilitating illness that leaves her bedridden and sensitive to light and sound. The door to the master suite remains locked, and Millie is instructed to leave meals on a tray outside. Douglas paints a picture of a devoted husband caring for his fragile bride. But Millie's instincts, honed by years of surviving predators, begin to scream. She hears muffled sobs coming from behind the door. She notices that the sick wife never makes a sound when Douglas is away, but the atmosphere in the penthouse shifts into something suffocating the moment he returns. Millie's curiosity is not just a trait, it's a survival mechanism. While cleaning, she finds small clues that don't align with the story of a peaceful illness. There are cleaning supplies hidden in odd places, and Douglas's behavior begins to show cracks of a controlling, volatile temper. He is overly concerned with Millie's loyalty and constantly reminds her how much he is helping her by ignoring her past. Millie realizes that she hasn't just been hired to clean a house. She's been brought into a carefully guarded cage. The penthouse, with its floor-to-soiling windows and marble floors, begins to feel like a high-altitude prison where the only other inmate is a woman she's never seen. The first act culminates in a moment of chilling confirmation. One afternoon, while Douglas is out for a business meeting, Millie finds a garment of Wendy's that was left in the laundry. It isn't just dirty, it's stained with blood. Driven by a mix of fear and a deep-seated need to protect the vulnerable, Millie decides to break the one rule she was given. She approaches the forbidden door, not with a tray of food, but with a lockpick. When the door finally clicks open, she doesn't find a frail invalid. She finds a terrified woman covered in bruises, cowering in the dark. In that moment, Millie makes a silent vow. She will not let another man destroy a woman's life. But in Freida McFadden's world, the person you choose to save is often the one who will eventually bury you. The sight of Wendy Garrick, bruised, trembling, trapped in her own home, ignites a fire in Millie that she thought she had extinguished. Having survived her own share of monsters, Millie sees a reflection of her past self in Wendy's hollow eyes. Wendy whispers a harrowing story of Douglas's Jekyll and Hyde personality, a man who is a brilliant tech genius to the world, but a sadistic monster behind closed doors. She explains that Douglas isn't just keeping her sick, he is keeping her a prisoner, using his wealth and influence to ensure that no one would ever believe her if she tried to run. The blood Millie found wasn't an accident. It was the result of his latest lesson. Millie's role in the house shifts into a double life. By day, she is the perfect submissive maid, nodding at Douglas's arrogant commands and pretending to ignore the locked door. By night, or whenever Douglas is out, she becomes Wendy's only lifeline. They develop a secret language of taps on the wall and hidden notes tucked under the dinner tray. Millie begins to document the abuse, taking photos of Wendy's injuries with her phone. However, Douglas is no fool. He begins to sense the shift in the house's atmosphere. He installs more security cameras and starts questioning Millie about her movements, subtly reminding her that he knows exactly where she goes and who she talks to. The penthouse becomes a psychological battlefield where every floorboard creak feels like a betrayal. The situation reaches a boiling point when Douglas catches Millie near the master suite with a look of defiance she can't quite hide. Instead of firing her, he plays a deeper mind game. He takes her aside and confides in her, claiming that Wendy is actually the violent one, a woman with severe psychiatric issues who self-harms and then blames him. He shows Millie a different set of proof, medical records and police reports that paint Wendy as a manipulator. For a moment, Millie is paralyzed by doubt. Who is the liar? The husband who provides everything, or the wife who cries in the dark? But then, Millie finds something that Douglas overlooked, a hidden recording device in Wendy's room that captures the sounds of a real, terrifying assault. The truth is restored, and with it, Millie's cold, hard resolve. Act 2 culminates in a desperate plea. Wendy tells Millie that Douglas is planning something final, a permanent solution to their marriage. She convinces Millie that they cannot go to the police because Douglas has them in his pocket. There is only one way for Wendy to truly be free, and only one person who can help her achieve it. Wendy proposes a plan that involves Millie's unique set of skills from her past. It's a plan for a perfect murder, disguised as a tragic accident. As Millie looks into the eyes of the woman she has grown to care for, she realizes she is standing at a crossroads. She can walk away and let Wendy die, or she can cross the line and become a killer once again. She chooses the latter, unaware that the trap being set isn't for Douglas, but for her. The plan is set for a night when Douglas is supposed to be away on a business trip to Connecticut. Wendy has meticulously mapped out the accident, a fall, a struggle, or a self-defense scenario that would leave her free and wealthy. Millie, fueled by a sense of righteous justice, agrees to be the lookout and the one to help stage the scene. She believes she is playing the role of the vigilante, finally using her dark past for a good cause. But the moment Douglas returns home unexpectedly, the air in the penthouse turns electric with a different kind of danger. Millie watches from the shadows as the confrontation begins, but instead of the terrified victim she expected, she hears a cold, calculated silence. When the act is done and the body lies still on the marble floor, the atmosphere shifts instantly. Wendy doesn't collapse in relief. She stands up with a chilling composure that Millie has never seen before. As they begin to clean the scene, Millie notices small, jarring details. The bruises on Wendy's arms seem to wipe away too easily with a damp cloth. They were makeup. The medical records Douglas showed her weren't forged by him. They were real. Millie's stomach drops as she realizes the recording of the assault she heard was a carefully edited loop. She hasn't helped a victim escape a monster. She has helped a predator eliminate an obstacle. The true horror of the situation sets in when Wendy turns to Millie with a sharp, predatory smile. She reveals that she chose Millie specifically because of her criminal record. Who would the police believe? A wealthy, grieving widow whose husband was a known tech genius. or a maid. With a history of violence and a motive to steal, Wendy has left a trail of evidence that points directly to Millie as the primary instigator. Every note they exchanged, every photo Millie took, it's all been framed to look like Millie was obsessed with Douglas and jealous of Wendy. Millie realizes she is the perfect fall guy in a game that was rigged before she even stepped foot in the penthouse. Act 3 culminates in a desperate realization of betrayal. Part as Wendy informs Millie that she has already called the police, claiming there's an intruder in the house. Millie has only minutes to decide: stay and try to explain the impossible, or run and become a fugitive for a crime she was manipulated into committing. But Wendy has one more surprise. She hasn't just framed Millie for the murder. She's already prepared a suicide note in Millie's handwriting. As the sirens wail in the distance, echoing against the glass walls of the skyscraper, Millie realizes that for the first time in her life, she has been outplayed at her own game. She is trapped in a luxury cage with a woman who is far more dangerous than any man she has ever faced. With the police sirens drawing closer, Millie realizes that panic is her greatest enemy. Wendy stands over the body, the perfect picture of a grieving widow, waiting for the authorities to arrive and drag Millie away in handcuffs. But Wendy made one fatal mistake. She underestimated the resourcefulness of a woman who has spent her life being overlooked. Millie doesn't run. Instead, she uses those few precious minutes to search for the one thing Wendy couldn't have faked: the real evidence of Wendy's own dark history. Millie discovers that Wendy isn't even Wendy. She is a serial grifter who has done this before, moving from one wealthy husband to the next, leaving a trail of accidental deaths behind her. When the police burst into the penthouse, the scene they find isn't the one Wendy prepared. Millie has managed to hide the staged suicide note and, in a stroke of genius, planted a piece of evidence that links Wendy to a cold case from years ago. As the detectives begin their interrogation, the power dynamic in the room shifts. Millie plays the role of the simple, uneducated maid to perfection, subtly pointing out inconsistencies in Wendy's story. She knows that in the eyes of the law, the most believable person is the one who seems to have nothing to gain. The cracks in Wendy's composure begin to show. She isn't used to being challenged by someone she considers beneath her. The climax of the story occurs when a surprise witness appears. Someone from Millie's past who has been tracking Wendy's movements. This person provides the final piece of the puzzle, a video recording from a neighboring building that shows Wendy practicing her bruises with makeup hours before the crime. The tables are turned with a violence that leaves Wendy speechless. The woman who thought she was the ultimate puppeteer finds herself caught in a web of her own making. As Wendy is led away in shackles, she realizes that Millie Devine wasn't just a maid. She was the one shadow Wendy couldn't outrun. The story ends with Millie walking away from the Garrick penthouse, once again a free woman, but with a new perspective on justice. She doesn't just go back to her old life. She realizes that there are thousands of Douglas Garricks and Wendy Garricks in the world. People who think their wealth makes them untouchable. Millie decides to use the money she acquired during the chaos to start a new kind of service. She is still a maid, but she no longer just cleans houses. She cleans up the monsters hiding inside them. As she disappears into the New York City crowd, the message is clear. If you have a dark secret behind a locked door, you better hope Millie Devine isn't the one holding the key.